Have you ever wondered what actually happens behind the scenes when you save a note or post a photo on an app? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on that invisible engine that powers pretty much everything you use online, the backend.
Hey everyone, welcome back. This explainer is based on some fantastic material from the DevOps series by LeafTech Solutions Learning. So let's just dive right in.
So here's the game plan for today. We're going to start with a really big problem that a lot of simple apps have. Then we'll meet the solution, the backend, and figure out how it talks using something called APIs. After that, we'll get into its daily grind, check out the tool we'll be using, FastAPI, and then zoom out to see how this all fits into the bigger picture.
All right, let's kick things off with that major flaw. See, if you followed our last explainer, the app we put together worked, but it had a secret, kind of fatal problem that makes it pretty useless in the real world.
The thing is, our app had no memory. Zero. The second you closed your browser tab, poof, everything was gone. It couldn't save anything permanently. And this leads us to the most important question that even creates the need for a backend. Where does the data for a real app actually live? You see, this highlights all the issues with a front-end-only application. Your data just vanishes if you clear your cache. There's no way to have user logins. You can't share your notes between your phone and your laptop. And forget about real security. To fix all this, you need a central brain. And that brain, the thing that solves all those problems we just mentioned, is the backend. So let's get properly introduced. So what is it really? Well, simply put, the backend is the part of an app you never, ever see. It runs on these powerful computers called servers, and its job is to do all the heavy lifting, all the thinking, the processing, the organizing. It's basically the engine room for the whole operation.
And what it does is actually pretty straightforward. First, it just sits there and listens for requests from the app on your phone or computer. Second, it applies the rules, the business logic, like checking if a password is right. Third, it talks to a database to save or grab information. And finally, it sends a response back to your screen.
Okay, so we know the front end and the back end need to talk to each other. But how do they do that in a way that's organized and reliable? Well, that's where APIs come into play.
Now, API stands for Application Programming Interface, which sounds super complicated, I know, but the easiest way to think about it is like a contract. It's a formal agreement that lays out exactly how the front end is allowed to ask the back end for stuff. It defines the questions it can ask and what the answers will look like.
Just picture this whole dance for a second. You click Save Note. Your app immediately sends a perfectly structured request to the backend. The backend catches it, checks the data, saves it, and sends back a quick success message. Your app gets that message and instantly updates to show your note is saved. And all of this happens in less than a blink of an eye. So what is a backend actually doing all day long? I mean, when you strip away all the fancy stuff, most of its job really boils down to just 4 basic actions. We call these actions CRUD. It's an acronym that stands for Create, Read, Update, and Delete. And trust me, these 4 little verbs are the absolute backbone of almost every single app you have ever used. First up is C for Create. This is just adding new information. Simple as that, like when you save a brand new note in our app. Next, we have R for Read. This is just fetching data that's already there, like when you open your app to see the list of all your notes.
Then there's U for Update. This is for changing stuff that already exists, like going back to fix a typo in a note you saved yesterday.
And finally, D for Delete, getting rid of data for good. And here's the crazy part. Pretty much every feature in every app, from posting a photo to buying a movie ticket, is just some combination of these 4 simple operations. Okay, so now that we get the concepts, we actually need to pick a tool to build our backend. For this series, we've landed on a really cool, modern Python framework called FastAPI. So why FastAPI? Well, it just hits this perfect sweet spot. It's incredibly fast, it's surprisingly easy for beginners to pick up. Plus, it has these amazing features like automatic data validation to stop errors before they happen, and API docs that literally write themselves, which saves developers a ton of time. It's a serious tool used by big companies. Now, a professional backend isn't just one giant, messy file. It's all about organization. You'll usually see separate folders for things like routes that handle incoming requests, models that define your data, and schemas that set the rules. This kind of structure is what lets an app grow and scale without becoming a complete nightmare to manage.
All right, let's just zoom out for a second. Because building a backend isn't just about writing these CRUD operations. The real world throws some serious challenges your way. I mean, developers are constantly wrestling with huge problems, making sure data is always correct, protecting the system from hackers, making sure it doesn't crash when millions of people use it at once, and handling errors gracefully. When the backend makes a mistake, everyone feels it, so the stakes are incredibly high.
And of course, FastAPI is just one tool in a massive toolbox. You've got Django, another Python framework that's a powerhouse for building huge apps quickly. You have Node.js in the JavaScript world, which is the king of real-time apps like chat services. And then you have giants like Spring Boot that run massive corporations. The real takeaway here is that there's no single best tool. It's always about picking the right tool for the specific job.
So, we've pieced together this picture of our backend. It has the logic, it has the API contract, it knows how to create, read, update, and delete. But there's still a giant piece of the puzzle missing. The backend has the brains, but it still has no long-term memory. So where's it going to permanently store all of our notes so that they're still there even if the server restarts? Well, that is a question for our next explainer.